Stock Option King, Data Driven Trading's a YouTube channel. And I just wanted to kind of go over September a little bit and show you guys how we did in September because, in all transparency, this was not the best month, right? And it's okay to have months like this because they remind you that trading is not always sunshine, rainbows, and stars, right? And beautiful, right? Sometimes trading can be very annoying on certain days, right? In a pattern, as you can see, on a Tuesday, especially this month, every Tuesday for me was bad, except today, of course, because we came back, and we ended hopefully the September Tuesday curse. But um, we had about, more red days than I wanted, honestly, this month, which is kind of crazy. We had about 5 red days, which is kind of annoying. And some of these red days, guys, if I show you guys the trades, you'll understand that they make no sense, right? Essentially, like to give you guys an idea about this, right? This was my first ever week of losing in the whole year. And this happened because of the 17th. And let me show you guys the trades in detail so that you can understand why this happened and why this should have been a green trade and why I should have made actually $20,000 on this trade versus losing 26,000, and I would have never had to take the next trade and lose even more money, right? Because of kind of frustration and so on. And market was so shitty this day because it was the day where the Feds cut the rates and so on. So maybe I should have sat out, but sometimes, right, because we're trading the market every day, we tend to love the market and not, you know, see some of the flaws sometimes, right? Which was on news days, market is super bad all the time. Okay. And that is one flaw that I um, always tend to overlook, at least when somebody is speaking, because on those days, market is very, very ugly. But this was probably the worst trade of my entire life. Okay. And I'm going to show you guys how it played out. Okay. As you can see, right, QQQ, right before Fed um, Chairman Powell started speaking, was moving up. And to give you guys an idea, as you can see, right, these options were also moving up and they were going up from about 60 cents to now 80 cents. And then they were slowly grinding up. And as you can see, right, 1 minute before, right, at about 13.58 and then 13.59, these options hit $1. Okay. Now, these are the QQQ 594 calls. Okay. Now, the news comes out, they announce the rate cut, and the market jumps from 589.50 to about 580, 590.60. So about $1 move there on those options. And these options, correctly so, jump from $1 to 150, right? At the money options nearly, and they moved about, 50 cents for, $1 move on the stock, right? Amazing. Okay. But this is where it got really dark really quickly because on the pullback down here at 589.29 is when we started buying these calls on the dip, right? As you can see on this red candle, we bought some around 80 cents, and these are all documented inside the Boom Trades, inside our chat room, right? And you can go check these out. But as you can see, it pulled back to 70. We added, right, on a live call as well for everybody. This wasn't only a special live call that we do like in the morning. This was open for everybody that was inside the Boom Trade. So everybody got to witness this, right? So we got in on these calls with an average of about 70, right? 4 cents or so. And as you can see here, the stock QQQ ended up moving up from 589.30s all the way up to high of 591. Okay, so about, what was that, $1.70, and these options moved 75 cents to 90 cents, 15 cents. So essentially, for this $1.70 move, I only got paid 15 cents, right? When in theory, these options should have at least moved up to 140, 130. I mean, technically, if they were to not lose any premium, they should have moved up to 180. So I definitely felt really, really upset after this trade. And it really honestly got to me because, sometimes you could do everything right. You could call out the best trade in the moment, and the market will punish you simply because you trust the market to be fair. And that is one of the harshest lessons that I learned personally this, month. And this is why this is absolutely such a shit garbage month. And it's okay. It is what it is, right? And uh, I'm just gonna let it slide. It is what it is. But these are the type of trading days that we had. Same thing happened on the 16th as well, right? I don't want to go too much deep into the trades, but you guys can go check out the charts for yourself on the 16th as well. Same thing happened. The options did not pay for the move that we were supposed to get, and sometimes, these the type of months, right, come in and they humble you because look, we were coming off from August, right? Look, we only do the same type of trading every single month, right? Look, one trade here, one trade, 1 to 2 trades max. Okay. The days that we lose in the morning, we come back and we try to make, another trade in the afternoon and get back the money and be break even on the day, and then the next day we come in and we trade the same way every single day, right? Look, this month we did that 2 times. And look, we had 2 days where we ended up even, and the third day actually we ended up losing, right? Not much. I think we stopped out very quickly because the trade was green and then it turned red, so we got out at break even. So it wasn't really that bad on this day, but still, right? Coming off from August, coming off from July, as you can see, only 3 red days, right? The same thing, right? 1 to 2 trades every single day, right? The same type of trading. So we do this every single day, guys, the same trading, right? And all of these trades, right, that are listed here are trades that we post. I'm going to pull up the app here, right? The data driven trading app, right? And you guys can all get this app and it's free, right? And of course, right, if you go into the boom trades here, right? Look, we called out the exact entries where we enter every single day. Look, at 9:35 today, we called out the 596, right? Puts at $1, right? And these went up to 140, right? And these here from 70 cents to 135. And look, right? 83 cents. These went up to 170, right? These from 90 cents, right? We ended up exiting, right? So we got into it at 10:02. We exited out of this trade at 10:06 because we knew it wasn't going to go, right, in our favor. And that happens too. And sometimes that's part of trading, right? You're going to take an L. But look, right, we call out every single trade, guys, that you can see, right? All the greens, all the reds, and everything, right? And of course, we have other analysts as well, right? The intraday and the swings channel. The intraday also has some really, really good trades. In the whole month of September, guys, I don't think, right, Raj missed one trade. As you can see, right, he was green all throughout, um, the month. And these are weekly options as well, right? So as you can see, right, he's giving out some really, really great trades. So with all that being said, let me show you guys the strategy that we trade every single day. It's a very, very simple strategy. It's called the gap fill strategy. And I'm going to show you guys how we trade it every single day. and how it helps us make some really, really great trades, right? We have multiple strategies that we use every single day, but this is one of the strategies that helps me find directions when there is a lot of noise in the market. Okay. Now let's switch over to the TradingView chart here. And let me show you guys in detail what this strategy is and how this strategy works. Okay. So this strategy is called the gap fill strategy. As you can see, right, all we're trying to do is identify gaps where the stock or the options have gapped up, right? As you can see, this little gap on the 5 minute got filled, and the same thing happened with the downside as well. This green gap that was left when the stock opened up higher, and the same thing with this previous gap as well. So you get the idea, right? Majority of these little gaps and the big gaps, they all get filled at some point in time. And if we know these gaps are going to fill, that basically means that the similar is going to happen with the option gaps, right? So as you can see, there was a gap on QQQ to the downside that needed to be filled this morning, right? This huge green gap, and QQQ was downtrending, as you can see, right? And we were at a resistance and we needed to fill this gap on QQQ. So if that was going to happen on QQQ, right? All I did was I looked at the option charts and found these little gaps, right, that needed to be filled. And this was simply the trade, right? We got into calls for these three gaps that were around 110, 120, and 125 to fill on these call options. And essentially, that was the trade, right? We got into calls. We wanted these gaps to get filled. So we waited for a pullback around $1. As you can see, we alerted inside the chat room, and we took these calls to essentially go fill the gap on QQQ calls and to fill the downside gap on the QQQ stock chart. And guys, that's all there's to it, to this strategy. It's very simple. You identify the gaps, you look for the gaps to get filled, and simple and easy as that. And look, a lot of people overcomplicate trading. Trading is not that difficult. Trading is super easy if you know exactly the strategy that you're going to trade and you're going to use every single day. If you have a list of strategies that you're going to use every single day, then opportunities present themselves every single day. And that's exactly what we do. And you guys can see our track record. We post every single day our wins, our losses, everything with the full transparency so that you guys can see even taking one trade a day can do amazing, amazing things, right? So if you guys want to be part of our chat room, link is going to be in the description below. Come trade with us, 1 month free. See you guys in the chat. Let's go.